Hello guys and welcome back to Game of Box Office. First of all, I want to say sorry that I was not here on YouTube for such a long time, but I was in the United States enjoying some free time off. Now I'm back to work and motivated to deliver you new videos as soon as possible. I hope you already liked my predictions on War for the Planet of the Apes and Alien Covenant that I made since I'm back. And now I'm going to continue with a prediction on Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales. When it comes to this fifth installment out of the Disney attraction-based movie franchise, I really had to think twice about every decision. As always, let's start off with the things that work in favor for the movie. First of all, I want to put the focus on the directors Joachim Ronning and Espen Sandberg. These two very young directors from Norway are in my opinion the absolutely perfect choice for the director's chair of Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales. Actually, they are not much of experienced directors, but their latest work, Kon-Tiki, was one of my favorites from 2012, and the directing that they delivered in this movie just fits perfect into the tone of a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Sure, I have to admit that Gore Verbinski and Rob Marshall, who directed Pirates 1 to 4, are both also very talented directors, but I still think that Joachim Ronning and Espen Sandberg are a pro point in direct comparison. The next point I want to mention is Disney as a production company. Nowadays, Disney is really making no mistakes at all when it comes to their movies and their performances. Sure, there are also some Disney movies who do not perform on the level that they want them to do. But when it comes to the really huge blockbusters with a budget of $180 million or even more, Disney is just delivering every single time in the past few years. Back in 2007 and 2011, that was actually not the case with Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End and Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. Both movies performed surprisingly outstanding with $960 million and $1.045 billion, but that was just because Disney got lucky with a few things here and there. At World's End got a huge boost for being the last movie from the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, and it was promoted heavily as the last chapter. Without that hardcore promotion, At World's End would certainly have settled for maybe $750 to $800 million in total, and when you look at the totally insane production budget of $300 million, what is still the second biggest amount of money ever spent on the production budget of a movie, and then add some budget for marketing, it's easily to see that Disney would have made zero money on this movie or even lost something. But happily for them, it turned out good. When it comes to the fourth installment, On Stranger Tides, Disney got lucky because of the 3D factor. After Avatar got released in December of 2009, nearly every big movie was saved from failure when they added 3D to it until late 2011. The 3D factor brought so many people into the cinemas back in the days that On Stranger Tides was still able to gross more than $1 billion. Without the 3D hype from Avatar, it would certainly have failed to reach that mark big time. On top of that, it came out 4 years after At World's End, what is always a bad thing for a sequel. Dead Men Tell No Tales is now coming out 6 years after On Stranger Tides. They really had a lot, and I mean a lot, of time to think about the mistakes they made with the franchise in the past, and I'm pretty sure that they fixed close to all problems that At World's End and On Stranger Tides had, to be sure that they still have another big franchise next to Star Wars and the Avengers Cinematic Universe. While he is not a big name anymore when it comes to box office power, the adding of Orlando Bloom back into the cast after he was out in the fourth installment is probably another factor that can carry the box office performance of Dead Men Tell No Tales a little bit up. No, unfortunately, to the negative things who work not in favor for the movie. The release timing is really not that good for Dead Men Tell No Tales. While it's really not opening in the shadows of a big movie, right on the next weekend there is Wonder Woman to be released, and on the weekend after that The Mummy remake and World War Z 2 will hit cinemas. When Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales will be not much better than the last two installments when it comes to the quality, these movies will hurt the performance of the new Pirates of the Caribbean installment for sure. The next thing I want to mention is the downgoing trend of the domestic performance and the very bad performances of sequels in the last 12 months. Since Pirates of the Caribbean 2, every installment has grossed less and less in the domestic market. It is really hard to come back from such a trend, so this will be hard for the 5th installment. On top of that, in the last 12 months, there were tons, and I mean tons, of bad performing sequels. When Pirates of the Caribbean falls into this category, Disney will lose a huge amount of money on this movie. Alright guys, I will now fade in all aspects I just counted to work in favor or not in favor for the box office performance of the movie, and I will now start with the pessimistic prediction on the film. In this scenario, when Orlando Bloom isn't doing any good for the box office performance of the movie, and when on top of that the overall quality of the film is not better in comparison to On Stranger Tides, I see Pirates of the Caribbean 5 to be crushed by competition hard and fast. In this scenario, I see the movie to open with $75 million, the worst opening weekend of the franchise, just ahead of Curse of the Black Pearl, which opened on a Wednesday, so you really can't compare the two to one another. Because of the hard competition, Dead Men Tell No Tales will accomplish a 2.55 multiplier, which will lead to a 191 million domestic total, worst of the franchise behind On Stranger Tides. On the overseas front, Dead Men Tell No Tales will gross a total of $610 million, for a combined worldwide total of $801 million. Honestly, even this gross will be enough for the studio to be happy. Probably. Of course, there is far more potential than this 800 million plus gross, but it will be enough to get to a financial plus. What will happen when we take a realistic approach on the box office performance of Dead Men Tell No Tales? Well, in this scenario, I see the movie to become the 3rd highest grossing part out of the franchise, just ahead of At World's End. With an opening weekend of $88 million and a multiplier of 2.65, Dead Men Tell No Tales will land on $233 million in the domestic market. Still the worst from the franchise, but very close now to the $241 million that On Stranger Tides grossed back in 2011. On top of that, we will see an outstanding overseas performance with $745 million from overseas territories, which will lead to a worldwide total of $986 million, just a bit shy of $1 billion. The overseas power of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise was always huge, and don't forget that this franchise was always huge in China, even back in 2011. With the much bigger China market now, it will most certainly be a big hit there. Now, what happens when everything falls into perfect place for Dead Men Tell No Tales? When Orlando Bloom is boosting the box office performance of the movie good, when the quality is so high that the other releases does not affect the box office run of Dead Men Tell No Tales, and when on top of that Disney learned from all mistakes they made with the franchise in the past, I can see Dead Men Tell No Tales to become the highest grossing installment of the franchise. In this scenario, I see an opening weekend of $110 million, which will lead after a 3.0 multiplier to a 330 million domestic total. On top of that, the movie will have a huge performance in China and other markets, and therefore will finish its overseas run with $820 million, for a combined worldwide total of $1.15 billion worldwide. This would be a huge accomplishment for Disney, and the franchise would be back on top. The next video will be a prediction on Wonder Woman, Transformers: The Last Knight, or King Arthur. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If so, be sure to check out these other 3 predictions that I link you on the left, right and bottom of the frame. Also, when you like what I do here on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos to come. See you soon. Bye bye.